You're listening to Keystone Cold Cases, a podcast where we reignite cold cases across Pennsylvania.
Hey, it's Chelsea.
Hi, it's Ericka.
Hi, it's Shannon. And tonight we're talking about Ericka Brair, who was from Philadelphia. She's an 18-year-old senior at Frankfort High School. And after a night out with friends, she did not make it home. And 1 month later, her body was found in a wooded area with dozens of stab wounds. And to this day, there's not really any closure for this case, although there's a lot of speculation on the part of the family as to who has done it. So according to Ericka's friends and family, she was full of fun and laughter and could turn anyone's day around with her sense of humor. Her friends at Frankfort High School called her the counselor because she would, just make everybody around her feel better. She'd always ease her mother's worries of when she would be going out, telling her that she was tough, she was Philly, she was streetwise, and therefore she'd be okay.
So I lived in Philly for a while, and I'm not sure if I shared with you. It's so hard because all the cases we've covered, and I'm sure probably our listeners have heard, but it was ridiculous. You could be doing nothing and get attacked. Some people want to even attack you to take things. One of my roommates got punched in the face and they just walked away. They didn't try to take anything.
My gosh.
I mean, and when I was in college, I was playing rugby as a starter, and I was like, no one's going to mess with me. And I got jumped by little kids who had a pipe. So, I mean, I don't know. After that, I was like, yeah, I'm not as tough as I think I am.
And sometimes that thinking that, oh, I'll be fine, that's not a good thing.
Yes.
It kind of leaves you a little unprepared. Where is Frankfort High School? What area of Philadelphia is that?
It's on Oxford Avenue in Northeast Philly.
Oh, so it's Northeast. And that's
yeah.
The Northeast used to, I lived in the Northeast for a little bit, and it wasn't that bad then, but I don't think it's doing so great now.
No, it's not.
Yeah. Well, as you know, Chelsea, I work in North Philly now, so that's
Yeah.
She lived on Cheltenham Avenue.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
So she was out with friends on March 15th, 2007. She was over at a friend's house, and according to her mother, she returned home around 11, said goodnight to her mother around 11:30 p.m. And the next day, she was scheduled to testify in court as a witness to a mugging that she was, the victim of, along with a male friend in West Philadelphia. So around 6 a.m., her mother went in to wake her up. That's March 16th of 2007, but she wasn't home. So she thought she might have gone out to, grab cigarettes, her keys, her purse, her phones were gone. She had 2 phones. She had one on her mom's plan, and then one that they referred to as a chirp phone for her friends, which I'm not sure what a chirp phone is.
I'm not either. I never heard that term.
I don't know what that is either.
Yeah, I didn't either. Maybe it was more like a prepaid, like a track phone or something like that, because I imagine 2007, they might not have had unlimited plans at that time, or if they did, they were probably a lot more expensive. So.
Oh, no, they definitely did not have unlimited plans at that time. That was around the time I was, I guess, allowed to have a cell phone.
Okay.
And it was by minutes, and I had a certain amount of texts I could send per month.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I don't know. I've never heard of a chirp phone before.
Yeah. So after a while, she hadn't returned home. So her mother went to the house that she had been at the night before and then called some of her friends, and no one had seen or heard from her.
Oh, wait, hold on. I do know what it is. Sorry, okay. I looked it up fast because I wanted to know what it was. It's like those walkie-talkie phones. That's what they are.
Oh, like a Nextel.
Those were fun.
Like that.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
Okay.
I had to look it up because I was like, I don't know. It sounds similar, but
okay.
It was the ones that would do that chirp thing.
I actually just was talking about that a couple weeks ago, that when they could do that. That was fun.
Good old Nextel.
Sorry to interrupt.
No, that's okay. Thank you for looking that up, because now I won't have all that anxiety wondering what it is all the rest of the night. So once she hadn't heard back from her for a few hours, she knew something was wrong. So she went to the police to file a missing persons report. An officer came to the house to inspect her belongings, but mentioned that because she was an adult and there's no evidence of foul play, it didn't necessarily qualify her as a missing person. But, her mom knew that she didn't just take off.
I think it's crazy because I would think that if she had court that day, they would take it a little bit more serious. I don't know.
Very good point.
Yeah, you would. Yeah. Especially, a mugging, it's not like a victimless crime. It actually happened to her and someone else. So her testimony was pretty critical for that court case. So,
yeah.
But Ericka she was very close with her mother. She was very close with her grandmother and wouldn't have been out of touch for long. Her mother did mention that she was not fond of some of Ericka's friends, and just cautioned her about falling to others' bad influences. So then in the weeks that followed, she continued looking, was hanging posters around different neighborhoods. And Ericka's father was living in Texas at the time, and he actually even flew in to help look for her. Janice, I'm sorry, that's her mother's name. Janice had a phone number for people to call with any information about Ericka, but believes anonymous calls from people that had knowledge of Ericka's whereabouts were just calling to give her false information. So, she got a lot of anonymous calls with, information that turned out to be basically BS. So maybe trying to dissuade her or throw her off track.
And sometimes I think people just get a sick pleasure of,
yes,
I don't know, making themselves a part of things or ruining it, or I don't know.
Yeah, that whole, need for inclusion, I guess.
Yeah.
Even though, you don't have anything to really do with it.
I was listening to a podcast and it was something similar, I guess a quote unquote person who was in jail who was going to be a snitch. It turned out he just did it because he wanted to be able to victimize somebody. And that was a joy for him. And I was like, man, that really is awful.
Yeah,
that's serious mental issues.
Yeah, that's a whole other level of sick.
Yes.
So on April 16th, 2007, Philadelphia police responded to a wooded area in the 200 block of Kubok Street, which is approximately 12 miles from Ericka's house on the 1400 block of Cheltenham Ave. So a man that worked at a nearby building found her body in the wooded area. Detective Ken Rossiter of Homicide Unit described her violent death, saying that she had 40 stab wounds. So that was some serious...
That's a ton.
Anger. Yeah. And appeared she had defensive wounds on her hands and her arms. Police did not find her identification or her two phones. An autopsy showed only prescription pain medicine for her back and an antihistamine in her system. So no types of narcotics or anything. So it was her, her pain medicine was prescribed, and then an antihistamine. I always have an antihistamine in my body. So, and Advil. So,
and it was spring, so that makes sense.
Yep. So detectives believe that the body had been carried into the woods. The body condition was not indicative that the death occurred immediately after she went missing. And based on the weather at the time, the body should have shown more decomposition. So there were apparently some winter storms that happened on the day she went missing and the day she was found. But the time in between, they had some warm weather. So, that cold weather and I think there was some ice and snow at the time didn't have any climate to linger in. So just as they were doing more investigation, they saw that there were some calls made to her repeatedly after midnight, the night she went missing, but there were no messages left for most. One unknown caller made reference to the court appearance scheduled for that next day. And police did have a person of interest who they referred to as a close connection. But once they obtained a search warrant for this individual, it didn't turn up any more clues. So it kind of stalled the case at that point. So I did go to the Facebook page. There was a lot of posts that I just was going through. The Facebook page is Justice for Ericka Brair, and it's Ericka, Ericka. Brair is Brair. But the administrator, I don't know who that is. I did not hear back from them. It may be mother or a close friend or family member. But the administrator refers to a bully that is responsible for her death in some way. whether directly or indirectly, and references this person having others do her dirty work. They don't name this person, but they do mention that this bully has been in prison since April of 2023 for a similar offense and has subsequently had her children taken from her. So, I'm sure anybody following that page is probably, connected with Ericka, likely knows to whom that those posts are referring, but it's funny because seems to be all perpetrated by another female, which, you see, but you kind of automatically go to a male, committing something this heinous.
That's true. And so I guess, I don't know, at that point, are they thinking it didn't have anything to do with the court date and her testifying?
There's not really anything that says it does. It does. And she didn't even seem to be really worried about it. She was just doing what she had to do. But, in other, conversations with her mother, she did not have any real fear about testifying. I think she was just nervous about, being in court and in front of a judge and, I assume a jury, and things like that, probably cross-examination.
The only thing I can think is, well, one, I think it's super personal for that many stab wounds. Probably guaranteed she was dead before all 40. But to think about it, when there's got to be just so much blood and then it gets slippery. I wonder if maybe the assailant could have potentially cut himself. I wonder if maybe this could be like a break by DNA, possibly.
Yeah, that's a great point. And, there's not too much information about the investigation. I know we talked before about keeping things close to the chest, and, there's just not that much that has happened since then, other than what, these Facebook posts mention about this quote unquote bully. So,
well, yeah. And I mean, was there much investigation? There's no talks about any DNA or anything?
Not that I can find. Yeah. It's really strange that there's so little that I can find. Everything, every article, every website had the same information, it was just the same. So I was just kind of at a loss and just kind of am I missing something? Where's this other information? Or is it just that because they know who they're looking at, they're not tipping their hand at this point until they can, prove something conclusively.
Sometimes I think that there's not a lot of coverage because family members or friends aren't pushing, police not on top of them. And for a place like Philly that has so much crime, it's really, really hard if a case goes cold. They have so many newer cases just constantly. They've always kind of been inundated with crime in Philly. And just this past year, I know the crime has gone exponentially out the window. I know in the beginning of the year, I was doing a case and I was looking up statistics, and in Philly, there was a shooting almost twice every single day of December, different victims. And I just read in the paper the other day that this person in Montgomery County got arrested because he was buying guns legally, but then selling them to people who couldn't get them. And some of the guns that he had sold had been linked to homicides within Philly. So it's a huge problem, and it's sad, but unfortunately...
Good thing they got him. Jeez.
Yeah. There are still a couple of guns that they haven't been able to find, but it's just super sad because she's a young girl, everyone should have closure for their family.
Right. And she was scheduled, she was going to be graduating in a few months, when this happened. And it was, her mother's only child. So she's gone. She's got no one else. So it's that much more sad for her mother, that there's no other children to kind of be there for that, that support.
Yeah.
Is her mother still alive, I guess?
Yes.
I'm surprised she wouldn't be pushing more. It sounded like they were close and everything.
And this is why I think that she runs that Facebook page. And I did reach out and I got like a, an automated message back that said, we're offline, but should be back on, at such and such a time. But I didn't hear back after that point. And I think I went out and checked again to see if any more recent posts had been made, and they haven't been. So, who knows what could have happened in that time. I don't know if they just maybe gave up on the Facebook page. There was less than 100 followers on it. So,
doesn't seem like it has a lot of traction or anything either.
Right.
And, I know we always say, like, why doesn't the family, like, follow up? We did another case on Margaret Kyoto, and we did talk to her sister, and, we weren't going to put her name, I believe. Like, her name was changed because she got married, but she didn't want to talk about it. She didn't want her coworkers to bring it up with her because the case is not solved. And yeah, she wants to know what happens, but she says she just feels... I don't want to say victimized, but it's like it just brings up really bad wounds that she feels might not ever get healed. So it's kind of like she's putting it in a box, sealing it up, and it's gone.
Yeah.
Yeah. And you might feel like people might look at you differently, or, like feeling bad for you or something all the time. You might get sick of that.
Yeah. And I'm sure it's just she's doing whatever she can just to get by.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Yeah. So the this bully person has now been in prison since April of 2023. So that's like really recent.
Right.
So hopefully that, if she did have something to do with it, the fact that she's now in prison, hopefully that helps.
Yeah. And the interesting part was that she said she was in prison for a similar offense. So, she seems like some sort of like maybe ringleader, in my opinion, of a group, and just kind of does not have any respect for other people. If she's going around assuming she's going around
ordering
stabbing
hits on people,
or stabbing people. I wish I had more information, but again, not like we're entitled to it, but it's just it's almost like they're just teetering right on the cusp of being able to solve it. And it's just, we just need that little push to get them over the finish line.
Yeah, hopefully they find something.
So more to come. If anything does come up, I'll, keep looking and keep following the page and see if anything comes up that we could do an update maybe in the future.
Hopefully. This 2023 has been a really good year for cold cases, so you never know.
Yeah.
That's all we have for this episode of the Keystone Cold Cases podcast. Please remember never to reach out to the family or friends of the victims, only to law enforcement if you have any tips. This episode was researched by Melanie Lees. Find all of our sources, social media connections, and contact information at kccpod.com. Theme music and production assistance by Darren Makins. Join us next time for another case to